All right, well, we're a community-based restaurant, Buck. We're open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we serve the Marietta community. We're really just a stone's throw away from Kennestone Hospital. We do a lot of work with them, and over the last 3 months during this pandemic, we got a chance to feed literally thousands of meals to the frontline healthcare workers, so we're honored to be able to do that. And also very close to the Northcutt Stadium, which of course is the home of the state champion Marietta Blue Devils. As you probably remember, this year Marietta won the state championship for the first time in over 50 years, and we decided to honor them that we would actually create a burger that we're going to test today called the Blue Devil Burger. Yeah, at the beginning it was just the Blue Devil Burger, but then they won the state championship and we renamed it the State Championship Marietta Blue Devil Burger.
Congratulations to them. And congratulations to you guys. But now I want to know more about this state champion Marietta Blue Devil Burger. Tell me how you put one of these together.
All right, well, we start with a sourdough sesame seed bun that we have made right down the street from here at Session Stand. They bake all of our bread for us daily. So we start with that. We butter both sides of the bun, grill that, and then we put our 8-ounce grass-fed beef patty on the grill, and that grass-fed beef we infuse with cremini mushrooms to add a little bit more nutrient density to the burger. We do that with all of our burgers here too. And then we top that with crumbled blue cheese and applewood smoked bacon, which is a really thick cut local bacon that we use here. And that is the Blue Devil Burger.
Now, before I taste it, which I don't want to wait much longer because my mouth's watering, I love the fact that you guys kind of name your menus. And I know this is on a couple of the menus, but there's one that I love the name of that. What was that menu that you can find this Blue Devil Burger on?
Yeah, that's actually on the Good Day menu, which goes very well with your program, I might say.
It's a match made in heaven, right? Burgers with Buck, good kitchen and market, and a Good Day menu. I'm ready to give the state champions, Marietta Blue Devil Burger, a try. Through the magic of Zoom. There it is right there. Peter, I've been waiting for this moment for a little while now. Let me unwrap it. It's hearty, it's big. And it looks like there might be some extra napkins required.
Hopefully you got plenty of napkins in.
Check it out, here goes nothing, here we go. The state champion, Marietta Blue Devil Burger with some thick cut applewood bacon. Peter, I got 3 words for you. Go Blue Devil. I love it. I love it. Peter, thanks a lot. You have a great day. I'm going to finish this right now.
So do you like Indian food? I do, but let me ask you this. Would you go to an Indian restaurant and order a burger? Wait, before you answer that question, take a look at this.
Okay, this week, Burgers with Buck, we are in Midtown. We're in the Piedmont Park area. We're at J-Ho Indian Kitchen and Bar, and I'm hanging out with Anish. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good. How about you, Bob?
Doing great, thank you. So when I think of an Indian kitchen and a bar, I don't think a burger's the first thing that pops into my mind. I want to get to that in a second, but first tell us a little bit about your place.
Oh, so we came with this concept like 3 years back. It's like more of an Indian fusion. So I have this choice where I can do all different kind of food. And I went to a culinary school, so I'm a professional chef too. So, and with this pandemic, like we had to come with a different plan because a lot of people who were at home and they were asking for some different kind of food. So we thought, okay, let's do a burger, and it kind of became a big hit.
One of the things that I really like about this place is this patio outside in a time where social distancing and dining rooms are not necessarily what they used to be. This is a great option out here. You guys have put some money into this place, haven't you?
Oh yeah, that was the best thing we found right away. It's like everybody just want to dine in the patio, and this is like open patio view to the Piedmont Park. So, you know, and we can maintain the social distancing.
All right, let's get back to this burger. First of all, what do you call it? What's the name of the burger?
I will just call it like Angus cheeseburger, J-Ho style. So it has like 3 cuts of beef, like chuck, tenderloin, and ribeye, and we ground it in house, and we put some sea salt and black pepper, and it's a brioche bun, so it's nice and soft. And we put some ghee. We don't use like oil or anything. We use ghee, so it keeps a nice flavor. And then we cook with the own fat from the meat, and we just grill it out.
I can tell you it smells really good as it sits here right in front of me as we're talking right now. I like it, J-Ho style. Well, I'm ready to give it a try.
All right, let me know.
3 different kinds of meat, huh? Here it is right here. There it is. The J-Ho style burger. Got to find my spot. I think I found it right here.
So what do you think? How's the first bite?
You know what?
Uh-huh.
The first bite is going to lead to a second bite, and then probably 5 or 6 more bites, and that thing's going to be gone. Manish, I love it, man. Thanks a lot.
Glad you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Cheers.
And good news, they now have another location, this one at Krog Street Market. Thank you for watching Burgers with Buck's Second Helping as we look back on some of our great burger memories through the years. If you've got a favorite you'd like to see featured, just let us know. Almost dropped that. Follow us on Instagram at Burgers with Buck. And don't forget to watch Burgers with Buck Friday mornings at 8:20 on Good Day Atlanta. And until next time.
Welcome into News Now. I'm Ariel Onstad. Thank you so much for joining me on your Sunday morning. One of the bigger stories we've been following is we're learning a heartbroken family has been receiving death threats after the death of their autistic nonverbal child. We want to get right out to our Lindsay Tuman, who's been following this story. And Lindsay, these heartbreaking developments came after that child went missing.
Yes, Ariel, this has just been a devastating 3 days for this Gwinnett County family. Their 5-year-old son went missing Thursday afternoon, and Friday morning he was unfortunately found deceased in a pond near their apartment building. The Gwinnett County authorities have already said that this was a tragic accident. And again, this started on Thursday when that little boy went missing. The family lives on the ground floor of that apartment building. Authorities say that little boy might have climbed over the guardrail of the patio. Nothing like this had ever been reported by this family before. Again, Gwinnett County investigators saying this was a tragic, unfortunate accident. But in the meantime, the family says while they've been dealing with the death of their young child and still trying to be there for that little boy's twin brother, they've also been receiving death threats from the community.
If anyone knew and been around me and Dee Dee, the family they know that I've given my entire life for my twins, even them being on the spectrum, the therapies they go to, the school, they've been in school since they were 3, all of the specific care that they need. My entire house looks like a sensory playground. Like everything I do is in the name of my children. I would never harm them. I would never purposely let anything happen to them. I just don't understand.
Just heartbreaking for this family. The medical examiner's results so far show that child's death had no foul play. Right now, the autopsy results are pending, and in the meantime, the family is still trying to figure out plans for a funeral. There is a GoFundMe as well for the family. We have that information on our website, fox5atlanta.com. Ariel?
Lindsay, thank you. I mean, as if it isn't bad enough, the grief and dealing with the loss of a child, they're also dealing with this community vitriol. So thank you for your reporting and for keeping us up to date on this story. Well, we want to bring it back here and talk about some news happening here in our metro, right? As we look at events happening on your Sunday, one of the big ones ringing in spring is the Cherry Blossom Festival out in Brookhaven. That's where we find our very own Caitlin Pratt, who is not letting the rain dampen her spirits. Caitlin, I see you've got an umbrella. I don't think anything could dampen your spirit, though.
Just call me Mary Poppins. Good morning to you, Ariel. Good to be here. This is a rain or shine event, and you notice the umbrella I have here. Real heroes of all of this, Brookhaven city officials going around handing out umbrellas to those who have arrived here to take in the music, go ahead and browse the shops. I'm going to go ahead, switch the camera, put this umbrella down so you can see what we're seeing here. A very active situation. Oh yeah, first I want to say hi to the cherry blossoms. They're so beautiful. They're just like paper flowers here. The name for this festival, of course, the Cherry Blossom Festival here in Brookhaven. I moved from the music stage, to where all the vendors are set up, and at least 100 vendors here. One of the most active booths that I've seen, my new friend Anthony. Good morning. These are so many tasty dips, and I have, you're feeding people, talking with people. Why is this event so special each and every year, would you say, for the community?
I mean, this is actually my first time here, but
really?
I've seen, there's like 30,000 people, and I feel like I've spoke to each one of them. Like, and everyone's so kind. I mean, the weather's been hit or miss, but they're still coming out and showing support.
Which is so important. Yeah. Thanks so much, Anthony.
Good
luck. These are his most favorite, by the way. These prime rib, spinach, Parmesan lobster. Ooh, you're speaking my language, sir. And these are more of the vendors here, Ariel. It has been raining, but as you can see, all of their wares covered by tents. And as I mentioned, people are getting umbrellas, milling around. Sound check still going on right now. Earlier when I saw you, it was Switchfoot up there on the stage. They're going to be playing later this afternoon. The headliners here, though, Boys to Men, they're going to be taking the stage at 4:30 this afternoon, and people already marking their spots outside of that stage there, trying to make sure they get up close and up personal and see all the things. Now, this is just one portion of the festival. I'm going to go ahead and head over to the favorite part, for me at least, the food area where all the food trucks are. And I'll see you in the next hour, Ariel, here on Fox Local.
I can't wait, Caitlin. I have to say, you've tickled my appetite by talking to the vendor and showing his delicious wares. I'm getting hungry. I wish you could let me taste some through the screen. But as it is, hearing the music during the sound check, I know that later on Boys to Men will be a fabulous entertainer. That's why people are already lining up and getting ready to see it. So, Caitlin, thank you so much. We're going to check back in with you in a little bit. Well, bringing it back over here, one thing, continuing in the vein of spring, I want to let you have a beautiful look, since we're talking about cherry blossoms, to Washington, D.C. Obviously, quite a bit sunnier there right now, but you're looking at the beautiful blossoms of the cherry trees in full bloom. Now, keep in mind, this happens in late March, and these blooms will last through the first couple weeks of April. Always a big tourist attraction and just a gorgeous thing to enjoy. But we want to transition now to get a check of the weather here in our area with our very own meteorologist, Alex Forbes. Alex, it looks a lot sunnier in D.C. with the cherry blossoms. It sounds like ours are going to have to contend with maybe a few raindrops.
Yeah, but Ariel, here's the thing. We've got a better baseball team here, and that's all that matters. Looking live over at Truist Park right now. So the Braves they're out of town, but the Savannah Bananas, they are in town. I just saw a couple people out on the field earlier. I noticed that the tarp is on the field. That's thanks to the scattered showers we have out there right now, and we are going to continue to have through the day today. Look, by and large, I don't think today's going to be the best day in the world. We are going to keep that scattered shower chance around. Here's Fox 5 Live Viper right now. First, I want to take you down to Putnam and Jasper, Greene counties. A heavier downpour coming across Lake Oconee right now into Greene County. Also out of Jones County and towards Jasper County, Monticello, a couple of pockets of some heavier rain. More where that came from, just across the Jones County line. That's going to continue to lift towards the north. So heads up Morgan County, Interstate 20 in and around Greensboro. Some heavier showers headed your way. Meanwhile, back here in the metro, we've seen some sprinkles over at Truist Park. A steadier sprinkle back into Douglas County, southwestern Cobb, over into Paulding County. And once you find your way up into northwest Georgia, here's your steadier rain, at least at the moment. Expect this to fill in a little more through the afternoon as we mix in some storms as well across the area. And that, unfortunately, will impact things like the Savannah Bananas game. First pitch is scheduled for 3:30 over at Truist Park. Look at these rain chances. 70, 80, 60%. Here's the silver lining, though, and you'll see it on the forecast model as well. If you get a shower, even a thunderstorm, I don't think it's going to last terribly long across metro Atlanta and North Georgia. Okay, today's a level 3 severe weather day for Detroit to almost Dallas. This is a massive level 3 area, a little atypical to see one this big. Advance this forward to tomorrow, that would be Monday, and you see most of us here in metro Atlanta are included in this. Now, I was talking about it all morning on Good Day, and I'm going to say the same thing here. This is the time of year where we can see some really powerful storms. That's not a secret. And whenever we see an outlook like this, knowing the situation we're in, it being late March and early April, I know minds go to worst case scenario. I am not seeing worst case scenario with the storm threat tomorrow. So technically damaging winds, large hail, and isolated tornadoes are in the picture, but I'm going to show you why I have a little bit of hesitation here in just a moment, and I'm going to do it with the hour-by-hour forecast. Starting today, there's your scattered showers. See how they become more numerous through the afternoon. A couple of storms embedded in there, and then we'll really quiet down into the night tonight. Turn your attention up here. Notice how you have broken storms along this cold front. That's a serious, severe weather threat as you find your way up into the Mississippi River Valley here through the evening hours. That front moves towards North Georgia during the overnight. Here we are at 6 a.m. moving into northwest Georgia, and look how just really that northern extent of the line petered out, and then you're looking at this going, okay, well maybe you get a damaging wind threat in here, but that really just peters out as it moves across the area as well. Now, don't get me wrong. I think there's a severe weather threat tomorrow. I just think it's south of us. I think it's going to be more of a central and southern Georgia thing. Regardless, whatever we do see gets out of here by 7, 8 o'clock, and we'll be looking at clearing conditions into the overnight hours. Okay, we got an update to our pollen count. Today is the second most pollen Atlanta Allergy and Asthma has ever recorded, second only to yesterday. We crossed 14,000 yesterday. Today we're at 11,159. Still a ton of tree pollen as well as weed pollen. Puts us in the extremely high range. It's our 5th extremely high day in a row, our 7th so far this season. that rain today is going to help clear out some of the air, so I would expect to see some lower values here in the days to come across metro Atlanta and North Georgia. So the rain chance today is at 80%, 90% chance of storms tomorrow, and that's a key, right? I think we get storms. I think most people are going to see storms. It's just a question of how strong. Sunny and 75 for Tuesday, and then we pick up a 20% chance of rain Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But Ariel, look at this. Records in jeopardy. Yeah, 87's the record on Thursday. Forecasting 86. Forecasting to break the record on Friday. I'm forecasting 86. The record is 85.
What's with all these record-breaking, Alex? I mean, we have record-breaking pollen, maybe a record-breaking high.
Yeah.
All I know is I think I'm going to enjoy the rain today and overnight because I'd like the pollen to just take a chill pill for a minute, as I'm sure all of you guys watching would probably enjoy the same.
And I'm going to go over there. I'm going to put in your order, a chill pill for the pollen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Alex. Yes, more of that. Thank you so much. Well, we, of course, are streaming live on YouTube as well as right here on Fox Local. So we will be checking your comments. Let us know if you're experiencing any scattered showers in your area. Let us know where you're streaming from. We'd love to see and hear from you. We're streaming again on YouTube as well as right here on Fox Local. So thanks so much for joining us, guys. One update I do want to get to really quickly before we do have to take a break is an update on that wildfire still burning in Rabun County. Now, this is, of course, more in northern Georgia. And as we're looking at this, we know that it has scorched thousands of acres. And as we're taking a look at this, you can see the smoke billowing out from the ground there. This is taking a look at video from the situation. And when we're looking at what firefighters have figured out from this, we do now know that firefighters believe this blaze was started by a human. So that is some bad news there. Fire officials aren't sure whether it was intentional or whether it was accidental. That investigation is ongoing. But the good news here is that crews have been able to keep the flames away from populated areas. Rabun County officials do say, though, that if you live in this area here, make sure you have a plan in place in case that changes and they do need to evacuate people. Nearly 2,000 acres have been burned so far. And we'll continue to keep you updated as this situation in Rabun County progresses. For now, I do want to let you know about an update with our radio partner. I want to let you know a little bit more about how you can watch us here, right here on Fox Local. Another way to listen and get your news, weather, and sports content. You can listen to Fox 5 Live anytime on the Fox 5 Radio 1 network. Tune your HD radio to 107.9 HD2 FM. You're going to hear all of our live local news, weather, Portia, and the rest of our live streaming content. So another great way to enjoy what Fox has to offer. So we're going to go ahead and take a short break. We'll have more news content for you coming up right after this. Welcome back into News Now. I'm Ariel Onstad, and you're taking a live look at cherry blossoms in Washington, D.C. This is just a beautiful way to start your Sunday morning as tourists descend upon our nation's capital to enjoy a sight of these gorgeous blooms. Over here in Georgia, though, I do want to let you know about an interview. I was able to catch up with Jessica Szilagyi of the Georgia Virtue, and she covers news throughout our southeast corner of Georgia. We caught up on a story about government transparency and accountability in Burke County. Take a listen.
Hey, Jessica. I'm Ariel Onstad. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me on.
So, Jessica, you've been covering a lot of stories throughout our state, but in Burke County, you're working on something especially interesting as it relates to the sheriff and his financial disagreements with county commissioners there. Can you give us an overview?
Sure. So it's an interesting one. It's been going on for at least 4 years at this point. He's been at odds with the county commissioners, and they're constitutional officers. He's a constitutional officer, but the county commissioners are the ones charged with writing checks, actually managing the bank accounts and things like this. And all of his invoices from his office and the payroll, all that flows through the county commission. Well, he's upset about the time that it's taking to pay some of these bills. And there's been ongoing disputes about this, but they've always been paid in the past. And more recently, as in an effort, I guess, to try to assert his authority and force the issue, he looped Governor Kemp into the whole debacle and is calling on him and Attorney General Chris Carr to come down to Burke County and intervene.
So that is a pretty big update. I'm curious, does the sheriff say how he wants the governor to intervene?
No, and that's an interesting question as well, because I think everyone's wondering, what do you want him to do? I mean, of course, the governor could come down and be like, no, everybody, if you could please just get along, and you would hope they would agree, but they don't really have any authority. And the Attorney General doesn't really have any authority to launch an investigation because nothing illegal, in terms of Georgia laws has been broken. Sheriffs and other constitutional officers have the ability to sue in a civil matter to, I guess, compel the commissioners to do what they want to in order to perform their duties. But that is a completely separate issue that does not involve Kemp or Chris Carr. So
interesting. I'm curious, in talking about your work, the sheriff is, I was reading about how he thinks, right, that the county does have the money to do what it needs to do. And one of the areas he points to specifically and where the money is coming in are these speed cameras. But you were talking about how these are kind of a controversial issue in the county. I'm wondering if you could tell me why that is and why maybe county commissioners are hesitant to use funding from that source.
Sure. So that's another issue that's been going on for about a year. I think at the beginning of this school year is when they instituted those cameras in Burke County. But the sheriff's sister is the superintendent for the school system. And there is some contention and dispute about whether every box that the state law requires for the implementation of these cameras has actually been checked. And if the commissioners actually gave their vote of approval to institute these, or if it was just Sheriff Williams and his superintendent sister and the Board of Education who instituted them, because they do generate a lot of money. I think we're talking about $600,000 in the last 6 or 9 months. So I think commissioners are hesitant to just use that money. It's also not supposed to just be a slush fund. It's for law enforcement purposes. But what's interesting about what the sheriff has said in all these letters, I mean, he supplied like 50 pages of documents and old letters. He hasn't supplied to the public or to the commissioners or to Governor Kemp any invoices, any receipts, anything that would say this is exactly what we owe and they're all law enforcement purposes and the bills need to be paid.
So it sounds a little nebulous, and maybe that kind of ambiguity could be why county commissioners maybe don't feel comfortable, right? Not for me to speculate, but in having a discussion, you have to think about what they may be looking at. And one of the things that the sheriff brought up was outstanding debts to other counties, which I thought was really wild. The idea of Burke County may owe other public safety services for them helping out.
So one of the things is the sheriff has traditionally been over budget. And of course, public safety is important to everybody, and it is not an inexpensive service to provide. So I think people are sympathetic to that. But the sheriff has also been one to go over his budget year after year after year. And so at some point, the county commissioners kind of have to prioritize, do we pay our county employees and the county employees for the sheriff's office first, which I think they have decided yes, and then they pay the rest of the outstanding bills as the funds become available. Again, not to speculate, but that would be the logical, that they take care of their employees first, with the understanding that you don't want to tarnish the relationships with neighboring counties. But it's also concerning that there is so much money outstanding, because that begs the question of, when are invoices being sent? How often are they coming from the sheriff's office to the county commissioners? All these things. And Sheriff Williams has been in hot water before about his accounting practices, which is why the county has so much control over stuff now.
I see. And that might be the deeper root of the issue, right? Where, he's saying it, maybe the finance is the, I guess you could say, the flower on the stem, which is he's saying the county is exercising undue, control over him and his purse strings. And the county may be saying, well, we are trying to keep spending in check, or trying to make sure things are organized. What kind of roadblocks have you come up in trying to cover a story like this?
So I have been covering Sheriff Williams for a few years now, and my first story about him was actually trying to obtain some credit card receipts, because his office had a credit card, and the statements were all for travel, hotel, things way outside of Burke County and even Georgia. And what I found through open records request was that he was not maintaining any receipts. No receipts existed for tens and thousands of dollars worth of travel and things like that. Nothing to back it up, nothing to justify much of anything. And so, of course, whether those receipts existed or they just disappeared or whatever, I am not certain, but that certainly presents an issue, because by then, short of a law enforcement subpoena, there's no other way to obtain the records for that. And the public is left paying the bill, but having no understanding of what for.
Right. And I think you bring up a good point, right? Because one thing I notice, leaders often, when they want money from the government and they want taxpayer public funds and access to that, they often lean on public safety as a way to apply pressure. And is to say, if you don't pay this or you don't do these things, the public is going to be less safe. Our jails will suffer, fire departments will suffer, police department is going to suffer, sheriff's department, whatever safety you want to say. They make the argument that public safety is at risk. Do you see that kind of argument, being weighed here, where the sheriff is saying, if you don't pay me and if you don't kind of give me the financial control I'm asking for, well, then ultimately the safety of residents in this county could be in jeopardy?
Absolutely. And that's been the narrative all the way along. And of course, there is some truth to that, right? Law enforcement in particular needs certain tools. They need working cars, they need people. But for example, there was an incident in the jail where a jailer was hurt by an inmate. Well, his argument was the commissioners didn't approve the body-worn cameras in time for the jailers to have them. But
right.
We know that most jails have cameras in their facilities anyway. So I'm not sure, one, what that would have done to prevent anything. And two, you have cameras. So if they're in working order and if you've been taking care of them and all these things. So, to say that the jailers are at risk and the inmates are at risk because of one line item that has not been approved, it's frustrating. And one of the things I mentioned in the article too is that in addition to all these things that he says are unpaid invoices, just 2 weeks prior, he was in front of commissioners asking for some other community outreach items like a dunk tank and a mascot to be purchased from the school zone cameras fund for events. And it's just really hard to take him seriously when you're asking for a dunk tank, but you're saying that inmate medical is on the line. So
right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Where do we go from here, right? He's written this letter. to Kemp. So I guess I should ask first before then is, have county commissioners responded to that letter he sent Kemp?
They did, and I think knowing that Kemp really doesn't have any authority, they said, we'd welcome any inquiry by anyone who wants to ask questions. They've been fairly transparent with records. Like if you ask for records, whether you're the media or the citizens, they do try to provide them in a timely manner. So I'm not surprised that they would be willing to provide them to the, I guess, higher ups, for lack of a better word. But they basically said, come on down. But where do we go from here? I'm not really sure. I mean, this has been a constant 4 to 5 year battle of just clashing and a lack of agreement on how to use taxpayer funds responsibly. And I think that it's going to continue to be like this. But I think we should look to the past as a predictor, which is that the commissioners do pay the bills that he requests be paid. It just may not be when he thinks it's timely, because they have a better idea of revenue coming in other than just this one account he's talking about.
That makes sense. Have you heard, as kind of a final question here, have you heard anything from residents in Burke County on your reporting? Are people frustrated with the situation? Does it seem like, people are mainly in favor of the sheriff's actions? Are they not? Are people kind of divided? What's the feeling?
It's definitely divided. I mean, obviously, he has some support because he's been reelected twice. And so, there are people who are fiercely loyal to him. And then there is a very vocal group of people. And I would say it's a very large group of activists who are just trying to take all different kinds of approaches to holding him accountable for the money they're spending. And in some cases, it's personal. They don't like him. But in other cases, I think that the people just generally want the money to be spent appropriately, and even if not appropriately, just transparently, to be able to answer questions about where things are going. And so I think that, it is divided. There's always, in every community, there is a faction that is very much in favor of sunshine and transparency. And there's a growing group in Burke County, but they're just not the majority yet. So
Jessica, thank you so much for sharing your insight with us. Thank you so much for your reporting in Burke County. Always a pleasure to talk to you and to catch up. Can't wait for the next time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, always a pleasure to catch up with Jessica as she keeps us informed with about news out of Burke County. We'll continue to follow up with Jessica for more news on government transparency and accountability as things progress. So we're going to go ahead and take a break here while we wait for Live Now on Fox to begin. Thank you guys so much for streaming with us. We'll see you back here at noon.